Okay then, so this is the second of my videos looking at Java Warmup 1. And in this one we've got two monkeys, A and B, with the parameters A smile and B smile that indicate if they're smiling. And we're in trouble if they're both smiling, because they must be up to something. We're in trouble if neither one of them's smiling, because they're both unhappy about something. So we need to work out if we're in trouble. It's meant to be a little jokey thing. I'm not sure it really works, but that's the idea. So we've got these two booleans that are true or false, A smile and B smile. If they're both smiling, we're in trouble. If neither one's smiling, we're in trouble. If one is and the other isn't, then we're okay. And I'm going to have a look at two different approaches to this one. We'll start with the simple one that's a bit less efficient, but it is more simple. And so, kind of, if it works, it's not a bad solution. So I'll start with the one that works. So there are four possible combinations here. I'm going to type them over here in Notepad. So we could have true and true. So they're both smiling. That's bad. So we're in trouble. So we'd return true. We've got false and false, which would return false. And then, can't spell false, doesn't matter too much for now. We've got true and false, which would return true. So try that again. True and true, we're in trouble because they're both happy. False and false, we'd return true because they're both unhappy. That means we're in trouble. True and false, so one of each. We're not in trouble, that's kind of normal, that one's happy and one's not. And then the other option is false and true, which would be false. So what we could do is we could just do four sets of if statements. That's what we'll do. So if A smile equals true and B smile equals true, then we must be in trouble. So we return true. And else if, you'd always use else if it's all kind of related to the same question. So if A smile equals false and B smile equals false, then we return true. Else if A smile equals true and B smile equals false, then return false. Else if A smile equals false and B smile equals true, then return false. And then we should, in theory, have solved it. So we'll give it a test, we'll see what happens, and we get an error. Why do we get an error? Missing return statement. Well, there isn't a missing return statement. I've got four possible combinations. I've thought through the problem, and I've worked out there are four possible combinations. And for each possible combination, I've got a return statement, so there isn't a missing return statement. The problem is the computer can't understand, Java can't understand, that I've covered every possible scenario because it doesn't know there's only four. So, and it seems a bit illogical because we can work it out, but for the computer to work it out, it's actually really complex to realise that there are only four possible combinations. So what we have to do is replace this with just an else. So, because that is the only other possible combination. True and true, false and false, true and false. Every other combination is false and true, but that way the computer knows that we've tried every possible combination. It's always going to return something, and then it works. It's a weird thing with if statements. It's always a good idea to have an else. So the last condition, if you just put else, that will catch everything else. And it worked. So in terms of getting some working code, I've solved the problem. Brill. But I did say I was going to have a look at two different approaches, because again, this exercise is not just about getting the working code, it's about the journey of getting to the working code. And is there another way to do this that might be a little bit more efficient and in some ways a little bit simpler. Well, if we look at our pattern up here, true and true gives us true, false and false gives us true, true and false gives us false, false and true gives us false. In other words, if these two are the same, we're in trouble. If these two are the same, we're in trouble. So it doesn't actually matter whether both monkeys are smiling or both monkeys are not smiling. If they're doing the same thing, we're in trouble. So what I can do is, if I get rid of all of this, and I can say that if A smile equals B smile, so if both of them are the same, then I'm in trouble. Else, otherwise, I'm not in trouble. Which is a much more elegant solution. In some ways it's a simpler solution, but it does require a slightly different train of thought. And again, that's the point. Neither one of these answers is wrong. You might argue this one's a bit better, there's less code, and it feels a bit smarter, this one. But there's nothing wrong with doing the 4 if statements, or if, elif, else. There's nothing wrong with doing those if it gets to a working solution. If you can see this kind of shortcut, that's brilliant. But ultimately, again, it's not about the answer, it's about your journey to get to that answer. That's the important bit. So the next challenge will be sum double. I'm not going to make a video for that one. I am going to make a video for missing chart and front back. But try and work your way through as many of these as possible. As always, you've got these clips down at the bottom and other pages to give you ideas of bits of code if you're not sure about syntax. But good luck with it.